What's up, YouTube? We are back again, and today I got a bunch of rods spread out on the floor behind me, and I got the OG hat on. It's been a long time since I posted, and it's also been a long time since I wore this hat, so this is pretty much a video to show you how far I've come in my rods since, and I'm finally, like, almost happy with it. There's still a few combos out there that I'm trying to acquire, but this is basically the rundown of what I'm going to be running this year. There's definitely a few upgrades I'm looking to make, and I'll discuss those in the video. We're going to go through everything that I got for 2023, all the rods and reels I'm going to be using, and the line. So let's get into it. Starting off with the swim bait rods. So pretty much my bread and butter swim bait rod right now is the Tranx 300. This is the HG model with a Calcutta handle on it. And I've got this paired with a G Loomis IMX Pro 966. This is basically like my pretty much everyday glide bait rod. 7, 8, 9 inchers. Anything that weighs like about 4 to 6 ounces I'll throw on this thing. Depths 250s. Pretty much like the highest that I'll go on it. I can still comfortably throw it on here. This is pretty much my main hard bait rod. Anywhere from like around the 4 ounce range. It's pretty much the sweet spot of this thing. 4 or 5 ounces, Clash 9s, the 6 cents draw, Big Sanity Explorer, Depths 250. All those go on this rod. And I also have this end on here, which is basically like, this kind of switches from rod to rod. Like if I'm going out on a boat in a tournament, this will probably go on the most expensive rod. It just helps float the rod. Got 30-pound P-line CXX on here. Even though I would like to switch to Seaguar Braze X 20-pound. Next is my small glide bait rod. This is an Alpha Angler wide glide. I think it's rated 2 to 6 ounces, but really its sweet spot is right at 3 ounces. So I'll pretty much throw all my like mid-size glides, like Roman Made Negotiators, Stromarashis, SWBR 200s, all those like 7 to 8 inch glide baits. I'll go on this thing. I'll run 20-pound Braze X on here. And I got that pair with a Curado 300. This is pretty much anything that's kind of like underrated on that Loomis, I'll throw on here. Also hard baits, I'll throw like 8-inch line throughs on it too. And moving on to the next one. This one pretty much hasn't changed over like 4 years, but it's my soft bait rod. I'll throw all my HUDs on it. Big paddle tails, anything with like a big jig hook. Usually I'll throw Bacas on it, or Bacas, however you want to call them, 6-inch. Throw all those on here. So if it's got a jig hook, I'll throw it on this rod. Calcutta 400. I do got to get a better handle for this. I actually got a Cardiff handle on here, a little dainty handle. I got to upgrade the handle on it. Custom, I think it's a 967 blank. Spiral wrap guides all the way up. Like I said, all my, jig hook soft baits go on this thing. And a line, I would like to run fluorocarbon, but right now I'm probably going to run 30-pound CXX. Now for the big boy swim bait rod, Dobbins 908. This one's going to be hard from hitting anything, but this is the Dobbins 908 swim bait rod. This is where I throw like the biggest stuff that I own, like the Hinkle Trout, 12-inch Osprey, 14-inch Osprey. Anything like over like 7-8 ounces goes on this thing. I always run 30-pound CXX P-line on here just for that added stretch when you're throwing stuff that weighs like half a pound. Throw them all in this thing. High-end reel, because you're throwing baits that are worth like hundreds. So I did not skimp out on this thing. Calcutta Conquest is actually the old model. I'm actually looking to upgrade this to the new model that came out this year. DRT Vario 110 with flat knobs on it, just for that added leverage. There's nothing wrong with the original handle, but I mean, once you try these, I'm telling you, it's hard to go back to like a regular handle. But I love it. A little bit overpriced, but I want to build like the baddest setup that I could with this, so I pretty much built like the best non-custom rod that you could get, in my opinion, for like throwing baits of that size. This is big boy setup. And moving on to like my budget setups, the next two, like I know a lot of people probably don't like agree with these two, but these are basically just backups. I've gotten really good deals on them. They're pretty much just backup rods for rods that you'll see later in the video. And the first one of that is a Ducket Micro Magic Pro. I got this like for a sweet deal. I could not turn it down. I got it for like 50 bucks from a friend. This is just like a backup Texas rig rod. It's all it is. It's pretty much backup, like do everything medium heavy. 7-foot medium heavy. Chronarch. This is my old Chronarch 7-to-1. I've had this thing for like ever. You've seen this thing on the channel before, but 7-to-1 left-handed reel. I put a bigger handle on it because this used to be my frog reel. Got 14-pound Sunlight Sniper on here. Basically just an all-around combo. Camera cut out for a bit there, but all-around combo. 14-pound Sunline. Anything Texas rigs, Senkos, jigs, top waters. Well, maybe not top water. If I got mono on, I'll throw top water, but pretty much everything I'll throw on this rod. Everything like jig and worm rod, I'll throw like sleeper gills on it sometimes. Dark sleepers, I can throw a bunch of stuff. It's basically just a backup rod to a rod that I'll show you later in the video. Next is a backup top water rod. This is a Jacob Wheeler Ducket. Again, I know a lot of people like to crap on Duckets, but for me, like, I got good deals on them, and they're good if they don't break. That's the thing, is because they use really thin walls in their blanks. As long as they don't break, you're solid, but otherwise you might be out of luck. If you can get a deal on them, I would jump on them, but otherwise I just stick to the rods I'm going to show you later in the video. This is a 610 medium. It's basically a backup top water rod. SLX on here. Pretty much just a run-of-the-mill, like $200 combo. Pretty much just throwing like everything, like poppers, spokes, sometimes like maybe like a light buzz bait. I got like 50-pound braid on here. I probably should be running 30, but I got 50 on it right now because that's what I had. 6.3-to-1 SLX. Yep, pretty much just a backup top water rod. The next one is my flipping stick / punching rod. 8-to-1 SLXs. Again, these are like the old model SLXs. They just updated them. I'm probably not going to be getting the new one just because it's, in my opinion, it's basically the same reel, just silent tune. It's an 8-to-1. I like 8-to-1 for punch and match just because you can get in and out of all the holes like as fast as you can, make more flips in a day. I got 710 heavy, old model SLX rod. Pretty much just like a basic punching rod. I probably should upgrade this and probably will in the coming years, but for now, this is like my pretty much just big weight braid. I usually run 65-pound Power Pro on this thing. Just a big stick flipping rod. Next one is this is my primary spinnerbait rod, actually. This is like a I've had this setup for years as well. Like a lot of these I've just had for years, and they just keep working season after season. Casitas 150 MGL. Or no, not the MGL. This is just the regular Casitas. This is actually, in my opinion, better reel than the SLX. Maybe not the new ones, but I know the old ones. I definitely take Casitas. Like, if you can find these on eBay, I definitely scoop them up. It's a solid. I've had this thing for like 5 years, and it's still going. Perfect. I love it. For like, what was it, like $100 or whatever it was? Cannot beat it. Rod is like Falcon, Jason Christie. I don't even think they make these things anymore, but I got it for like 25 bucks, something ridiculous. It's my main spinnerbait rod, usually around like 14-pound Sunline Sniper. A lot of my line is either Sniper or Sniper Assassin, or on the big bait rods I run like a Brazex. Most of these thin rods I'll have like Sniper on them. It's pretty much my go-to line. 6.3-to-1 gear ratio. It's just a generic like medium heavy spinning rod. I think it's 6.8. I'll also throw like small paddle tails on this thing, as you can see I got on right here. I'll throw like small paddle tails, sometimes dark sleepers, like pretty much just anything with like a little jig hook on it. I'll throw on this rod that moves, like a spinner bait, buzz bait, and paddle tail. It's pretty much what this thing is used for. Now we're starting to get into the cream of the crop. This is like this part of the video where I have like all my bougie combos, if you will. Starting off with probably the least bougie of them all. Curado, old model. I got a deal on this from a friend. 610 medium. This is like my primary topwater rod. Pretty much just all my spooks, poppers. Like sometimes I'll run like a spook on this and like a popper on the other one. But this is like my primary topwater stick. I'll throw like wake baits, spooks, buzz baits. I'll throw a bunch of topwaters on. Pretty much all my topwaters can go on this rod, except for like the really big ones. This is a 7-to-1 Curado DC. This is another reel that I've had forever. I actually upgraded this reel this past year, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But pretty much just do it all top water. Again, 50-pound Power Pro. Pretty much just my run-of-the-mill, like, everyday top water rod. It's my primary top water rod. Next is a new addition to the lineup. I picked this up this winter. It's going to be used for, like, jigs, like bigger jigs and smaller swim baits, like 6-inch style swim baits. Curado 200 DC. I'm going to run 16-pound FC Sniper on this thing, and this is the Megabass Orochi Perfect Pitch. It's a little bit tip heavy on the balance, but I can't really wait to use this rod this spring, so I can't really give my full opinions on it yet. Might do a review on it if I like it, and if it lasts, I'll do a review on it. Megabass Perfect Pitch is 7.2 heavy, mainly a jig rod, but also for like smaller finesse style swim baits, like finesse like in the big bait world. I think this is a 7-to-1 Curado 200 DC, 16-pound line. Just another jig rod to keep around. Now we're getting into the Loomis's. This is my primary trap rod. This is an old school like E6X. These things got discontinued a while ago. G Loomis E6X. This is the 845 CBR, so it's like a 7-foot medium heavy moderate crankbait rod. This is my primary rattle trap rod. Like if I'm throwing like traps, if I'm on a good trap bite, this thing is gonna be locked in my hand all day. It's pretty much fantastic trap rod for what I like. I am gonna try and upgrade my trap rod this year to like a 7.5 just so I can get longer casts. But for now, this is like my primary trap rod. Got a Curado K 8-speed. It's noisy. I've had it forever, but it does the job. Probably gonna upgrade to a new setup in the coming years. But for now, this is what I'm rolling with. 8-speed Curado. I usually run. Believe it or not, I like FC Crank a lot. I've heard a lot of people have mixed opinions on that line, but for me, I just like how slick it is and it doesn't have much memory over time. And the trap bite is real specific. Like when they're on it hot, but they're not on it always. But when they're on it, it's locked on my hands. Can't really go wrong with this thing for throwing traps. And here's my primary do-it-all. If I only had one rod, this one. G Loomis 853C JWR. I kind of forgot the model there for a second, but this is like my primary jig and worm rod. Like without, like the Ducket is just a kind of a backup to this rod. This is a 7-foot medium heavy, fast tip. I think it's extra fast actually. I'm throwing all my Texas rigs, all my Senkos, like weightless Senkos, Texas rigs, jigs, buzz baits even, anything like that really in that jig and worm type range. Carolina rigging, I'll throw a bunch of different stuff on this thing. I really love it for swim jigs too. It's like my main swim jig rod. 7-to-1 left-handed Curado MGL 150. I can't tell you enough how much I love this reel. For $200, I think it's like $210 now. This thing fishes like a Metanium. Like it's just a little bit less smooth than the Metanium, but it'll cast almost just as far. I mean, if you're gonna get into bait casters, I'd go here all day long. You can't really go wrong with this thing. It's got a light spool in it. That light MGL spool allows you to throw lighter baits. Like my swim jigs, they tend to catch in the wind a lot, so I had to go to this reel over the DC reel that I transferred my topwater rod. Love this thing. This is probably one of my favorite rods that I have. It's a little tip heavy on the balance, but all around, like, I love the sensitivity you get out of this thing. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about the GCXs. In my opinion, they're fantastic rods for everything except like the balance department. If the balance was a little bit better, it'd be way better rod. But I love this combo. It's my all-around jig and worm rod. And next, you got my secondary trap rod. I've actually got a trap on it right now. This is my secondary crankbait rod. So sometimes I'll run like a crankbait on one rod and a trap on the other. This is like my primary square bill rod. It's a G Loomis IMX Pro 845 CBR. It's same action as the other one. It's just an IMX Pro. A little bit lighter, a lot better balance. This thing is a lot better balance than the GCX and the E6X. Love this thing. It's way lighter. It's got better guide train on it. Got that pair with a Chronarch 150 MGL. I got this thing in a trade. I traded away my old Revo for it. Love this thing. This is like my primary like square bowl cranking rod and a secondary trap rod. Like if I'm really hot on the traps and I'm getting multiple rods out there, I'm throwing traps on both this one and that other Loomis. But I'm definitely looking to add another trap rod in the arsenal. Running 16-pound FC crank on this thing. Both my crankbait rods have that FC crank on it. Got that one. And for the jig and worm rod, I run 16-pound sniper. Jerkbait rod. You guys have seen this one before. Levante 611 jerkbait special. Love this thing for throwing jerkbaits. Got my old 2016 Metanium on it. 10-pound Sunlight Assassin. I love this thing for throwing jerkbaits. It just, the action just feels perfect for the way that I fish. I really have no complaints about it. I actually dinged it up a little bit on the trigger there, but I love this thing for throwing jerkbaits. Can't really get any better than that. Unless you're going to like the Destroyer, obviously, but for the money, that's probably one of the best jerkbait rods you can get. Another new addition for me. Expride, this is a new model, Expride B, 7.3 extra heavy. I need a new frog rod. My old frog rod I had like forever, and I actually went this past summer. I was frog fishing a ton, and I was missing like half or more of my bites. Like it got to the point where it was unacceptable. And I know it wasn't the hook set because I was waiting like 2-3 seconds at times. Did not make a difference. So I knew I needed to try something different. Went with the Expride. It's got it's way lighter, and it's way faster of a tip than that other Dobbins that I used to have. This is definitely an upgrade, and I can't wait to use it this summer. Pair it up with a Bantam. This is a new Bantam 7-speed. Really, it feels ridiculously smooth, but I haven't really used this combo yet, so I can't really give you my full opinion on it. But like first impressions, I mean, this thing feels sweet. It feels just as smooth as the Metaniums of the world, and only thing is, a Bantam is an all aluminum reel, so it is a little bit heavier. But other than that, like I can't wait to go frog fishing with this thing. Gonna run 50-pound Max Quattro braid on it, just so you can get more packed on the spool. It's a little bit thinner, make longer casts with it. Next is the chatterbait rod. You guys have seen this one a billion times. 7.3 Evergreen Jackhammer rod. Everyone knows this rod. Everyone probably has this rod by now. They actually came out with a new one. I'm definitely looking to upgrade to that because I beat this rod to a pulp. All the guides are bent. There's like super glue on the guides. This rod is beat up. It's been used well. It's caught me a ton of fish. Definitely gonna be looking to upgrade to that new Evergreen that's coming out. Got the pair with Metanium 6-speed. Metanium B, probably one of the best reels on the market in my opinion. It is a little bit finicky, but if you dial it in, you could bomb this thing like no other. I actually absolutely love this reel. Metanium 6-speed, 7.3 heavy glass jackhammer rod, and 20-pound fluorocarbon, 20-pound FC sniper. Pretty much my go-to chatterbait rod. And if I don't have a deep crankbait rod yet, but this rod is definitely capable of doing it. It's rated at like 2 ounces. So if I need to in a pinch, I could definitely deep crank on this thing. It's not 100% ideal, but I could do it. Next up, I have to reach over here. This is probably one of the bougiest setups I've ever owned, and I can't wait to use it. This is the Megabass Destroyer P5 Dark Sleeper. I'm going to be throwing all the sleeper baits on. I really got into that sleeper gill. That's going to be going on this thing. Got a pair with a brand new Metanium B. This thing is ridiculously light. I mean, anyone who's used the P5s know how light they are and how sensitive they are. I can't wait to use this. It's 7.1. If you guys notice, a lot of my reels that are either left or right-handed, I'm actually starting to switch a lot of my reels over to lefties, even though I'm a righty, because if you cast, side note, but if you cast with your right hand like I do, it's better to use a lefty, so when you go to cast, you got your thumb on, you could just disengage the reel and cast, and you just wind. You don't have to do any of the switching hands. Like if you cast with your left hand, you're better off with a righty, in my opinion. Just a side note. But I'm gonna be throwing all like my paddle tails, dark sleepers, sleeper gills, and the sleeper craw when I get them in tomorrow. All those are going to be going on this thing. And I might even throw some swim jigs on it this summer. We'll see how that does. Hopefully this thing lasts. I did get this thing on sale. Pretty good price, so can't wait to throw this thing. This is probably one of the rods I'm most excited about this year. But it definitely needed a hole. It was a hole in my arsenal because I was throwing this setup for all my dark sleepers. And I just felt like I needed a little bit something better. Just with a lighter spool in it so I could throw those. I throw like the small ones a lot, and I also want to free this thing up for just spinnerbait fishing, so that's why I invested in this combo. I also got this thing to throw the sleeper gill, which I absolutely love. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on it. I personally love it. Just fix the fin every cast or whatever, but I love the way that thing moves and it thumps through the water with that big tail on it. That's going to be going on this route. I'm going to run either 14-pound or 16-pound sniper. I'm probably leaning towards 14 on it right now, but this is probably one of the bougiest setups in the arsenal. And now, we're going to the bougiest setup in the arsenal. This is undoubtedly the most money I've ever spent on a rod, probably ever will. This thing is absurd. Shimano and Terra's DC. You guys have seen this thing on the channel a few times. I finally got a rod for it. NRX Plus 844. I ended up going with the 7-foot heavy just because I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, the MBR, like the 843s, I think they're called, yeah, the 843s, the medium heavy, they're kind of like, you know, they're kind of softer, kind of reaction bait rods. I just wanted to get like the bougiest jig and worm rod I could. So that's why I went with this thing. Gonna be throwing all like same thing, like jigs, Texas rigs, weightless stuff. So I could have like a weightless Senko on one rod, Texas rig on the other, and a jig on another rod. It's definitely gonna be ideal. I don't know if it's worth the money yet. I haven't really put enough time with the rod yet to be able to like really give you an opinion on it, but I will be doing a review on this combo later on. You guys know how I feel about the reel. In my opinion, it's one of the best reels ever made. You get the lightest spool that they make, still got line capacity. You get the best DC system that's out there right now. And yeah, the reel's a little bit heavy, but this rod is so light it makes up for it. Probably one of the best setups that money can buy. Can't wait to use this thing. Get some real seat time on it. I have used it a little bit. I got to use it for like a few weeks or so before the ice kind of thawed up, but can't wait to use this thing. This is like the bougiest setup I own. And yep, pretty much just going to be another jig rod, Texas rig rod, weightless Senko rod. Pretty much the bougiest one you can get. Last but not least, this one's going to come as a surprise to some people. I got a spinning rod, a fairy one. I'm getting into smallmouth fishing this year. You can't really smallmouth fish without a spinning rod. So that's why I went with this. This is the Expride. Get this thing unhooked here so it doesn't catch anything. This is a 7.2 medium light Expride. I heard a lot of people saying like that the new Exprides are not really like, they're not as well like labeled out. Like some people say like the medium light feels like a medium. They say like they're underrated. In my opinion, like this thing, it definitely has some power to it, but the tip, it's like a medium light tip. Like if you flex this thing, it's got a really light tip on it. If I could show you that. It's got it takes like nothing to bend. Like a little like Ned rig can bend the tip, but then you really got like backbone. Like it really doesn't want to bend. It's got like a medium backbone with like a really light tip. Like you guys can see how soft that is. You could throw a wide variety of stuff on this thing, which is why I got it. Pretty much to do everything spinning rod that wasn't a piece of junk like the one that I had been using. I needed a legit spinning rod, and this is it. So I got a Van for 2,000 on there. Probably should have went with the 2,500. Got a little Ned rig on here right now, but this is pretty much what I've been throwing for a lot of river smallmouth lately. 7.2 medium light. I got 8-pound Power Pro to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. Just an all-around, like, drop shot Ned rig. Maybe even, like, small wacky rigs I can throw on this thing. Pretty much just an all-around spinning rod that's actually worth something. So that's it. that's pretty much all my rods and reels. And I'll be going over to 2023. A few upgrades I'm gonna be looking to make is I'm looking to get a 7.5 trap rod. I'm looking to get the new chatterbait rod that came out because mine's been beat to a pulp. And I might even get a new swim bait rod just because the ones that I got, they've got a lot of miles on them. So pretty much in like a transition phase right now. But for right now, 2023, these are the rods I'm be using. And I'm looking forward to posting more on this channel. So I did this all in one take. So I might even get some fishing footage out there for you guys. So if you're interested in this type of content, subscribe. I'm gonna review some of these combos for you, and we'll get back to you next time. Thanks for watching.